What is up, guys? I am here in Sanliurfa in East Turkey, like about 150 kilometers from the Syrian border. I am super excited today. The reason I'm super excited is because today I'm going to a wonder of the world, one of the oldest known man-made structures ever, Gobekli Tepe. We're waiting at the bus stop now. I'm super excited. You guys have to come along for this adventure. It's going to be amazing. I haven't been this excited in so long. Let's do it. So here we are, guys. We made it to Gobekli Tepe. To get in, it's 45 lira. That's not that expensive. So what we will do now is we will hop on a shuttle bus and they will take us down to the source, to a very exciting place where I'm going to tell you a story of history, of archaeology, and of cultural anthropology. Let's see. Here we are, guys. We are now on the top of the hill called Gobekli Tepe. Gobekli Tepe means pot belly hill. Your Göbek is your belly. So why is this place so important? What does it all mean? Why are we here? Gobekli Tepe is an amazing site in the world. This place is, they wager, around 12,000 years old. So if you're talking about ancient history, you're talking maybe 6,000 years before the pyramids were built in Egypt. This obviously has a lot of potential weight historically, and the thing is they've only explored something like 20% or 30% of the surrounding area, as it hasn't really been excavated for a long period of time. Gobekli Tepe was essentially found like randomly by a farmer in this area. You guys can see where I am now. It's just kind of a vast landscape of the Anatolian Peninsula. It was found in 1963, but it wasn't started to be excavated until somewhere around like the mid-90s. They were kind of unsure of how to go about it, and they ended up finding a German guy named Mr. Kraus or Mr. Klaus, I am forgetting right now. And he set up a team, and they're the first people who started uncovering Gobekli Tepe. The thing is, this place is really mysterious. People don't really know what it is exactly. It's a temple. They're unsure of many things, and along the way, along the journey, when we head in there, I will explain to you some of these things, but I gotta put on my mask first. If you believe the stories of early humans, of early civilization, this is really where it all started. This is what we would call the Fertile Crescent, or kind of the start of the Levant, that saw the great empires of Babylonia, of Mesopotamia, of the Assyrians, and this is really where it all happened. It doesn't look so fertile, but as far as human history, this is it. This is where it all began. How crazy is this? First off, I have no idea why they don't teach about Gobekli Tepe in school. I took a cultural anthropology class in college, and I've never heard of it. It's a very big problem. And so a lot of us, you know, when we think about the world and we think about people and what people have built over the years, kind of the starting point is maybe a little bit before the Egyptians, or the first things that were really built as far as temples were the Egyptians, and that's just very much not true. Gobekli Tepe is essentially a temple. It's a Neolithic era temple. They've got engraved carvings, which you're seeing right now, that were basically predating writing by like 6,000 years. So you can see essentially carvings of different kinds of animals on these stones that weigh between 2 to 4 tons. People are very unsure today how those stones got laid, how it all came together, and it's something that remains a mystery to many scientists. There's something called the Gobekli Tepe Theory, which essentially is saying that typically hunters and gatherers in society had no time to build temples or to build monuments. From what we understand about the Neolithic era, they had to put all of their focus into eating. But this kind of goes in the face of that, saying that temples are something that humans have been doing for thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years, and that there's so much to learn from this. And it goes in the face of a lot of modern anthropology, which is extremely interesting. So they even found that Gobekli Tepe has a waterproof floor for whatever sort of rituals that they were doing at the time. So here we are, Gobekli Tepe. Let's check it out. So here you guys can see these are the T-shaped rocks in which they're talking about, and you can see here, maybe you can see there are carvings on it, and these carvings are thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years old. There's a beautiful example of the carvings here where you can actually see small birds that are carved into the stone. The crazy part about this place is that a lot of this predates modern tools as well, so you have to assume they were doing a lot of this work with rocks to make the carvings. You would assume that the society was able to provide enough food for people to spend time making a temple, not necessarily just eating, which has a lot of clout as far as human development, how humans have evolved over time. And it's just super incredible to see something so old. You guys can see here, we've got a nice carving of seems to be some sort of jaguar or something. Probably not a jaguar, something Turkish related. And here is the base of the temple, and here you can actually see is they made the waterproof floor in order to have rituals with alcohol, with blood, with water, with different things that they were doing. You can see it was multi-tiered, actually, as well. There's evidence that they were actually brewing alcohol at this time, so it wouldn't be uncommon to find beer or some type of grain alcohol used during whatever religious ceremony they have. Here you can see the larger T-shaped, I guess what they're calling T-shaped statues. Absolutely incredible, so beautiful. Such a beautiful place, and it's crazy to think that this is only the beginning of what they've been excavating. There's so much more to be discovered, and I think the most interesting part is that they figured out that Gobekli Tepe was actually buried. So it was not only really old, and like there's lots of changes over time. We're finding stuff that the Egyptians had years ago, but this was actually buried on purpose, and so they're trying to figure out why it was buried, who buried it. But it's just so old that no one really knows. It's mind-blowing a little bit. To give you some added perspective of how old this place is, some people argue that domesticated animals are not much older than 12,000 years. And simple pottery in many ways. It wasn't new, but it's not common. It's just beautiful here. I found an olive tree. If you guys have never seen, these are what olives look like in the wild. I think maybe my final thought on Gobekli Tepe as we finish up our tour here is that in cultural anthropology there must be such an innate sense in human beings to pray and to have a place where they can feel connected and to have a place where they can celebrate together and have a place where they can, call to their gods. And there's something so deeply rooted in being human that you can experience here. And it's kind of mind-blowing when you really think about it. Like, we don't, there's still so much of this world to be explored, but I mean, here you can look, actually, they're still currently excavating. There's people actually working down there, and they seem to have found more things, and only time will tell until whatever the next discovery here will be, but most likely it will be sooner rather than later. And here you can actually see this is all not open to the public yet, and they're doing it by hand. Excavation is a painstaking process. A fun fact about me as I'm here is when I was a kid I wanted to be a archaeologist, but more for dinosaurs, but this stuff is endlessly fascinating as well, and I'm so happy that I was able to come and to see it, to take you guys with me to such a special place. And hope you learned something. Hope you learned something new. And next time you're in Turkey, definitely come to Gobekli Tepe, the Potbelly Hill. Learn something about your world, learn something about yourself, and feel connected to something bigger than yourself. It's very striking, astounding. Before we get out of here, I want to tell you guys that if you want to see kind of like a cool interpretation of what it was like in Gobekli Tepe from a Turkish point of view, there is a wonderful show on Netflix called The Gift, or in Turkish called Atiye, and it's funny because I didn't know it was the subject of the show when I started. My mom recommended it, and so I watched it. And it's actually here. It kind of has this kind of mystical story, but it's a very mystical place because most people don't really know what happened here, what was going on. So if you have time, check out that show on Netflix, learn something new. It's a fantasy. And it's also cool to see TV shows from different countries. So if you like the video, make sure to like and subscribe. Trying to take you guys to cool places, see something new, get out of your zone, get out of your box. And if you have questions or comments, please send them below. Make sure to like the video, make sure to subscribe, make sure to do the other things that you got to do, smash all those buttons, and we will see you from Sanliurfa in southeast Turkey. See you later, guys. Görüşürüz.